The release is close, I can already smell it. So in the same fashion as for the batters and the slaughter slam, here's the level guide you have been waiting for. We will start off with explaining the general build, the synergies, and the skill rotations. So you know exactly what to do and how the build functions. Then you will also get a practical cheat sheet that shows you in which order you're going to skill your class for maximum efficiency on launch. You can keep this open on a second monitor or on your phone, so it can assist you while you're playing. We then finish this guide with some general level rules and strategies to either play through hardcore, really safe, or speed it really up like a lot on softcore. This chapter then also ends with a cheat sheet to provide maximum help during launch. So let's jump right in. So we are going to take a look now at the Barbarian, and to be more specific at the Whirlwind Barbarian, because it was the most popular build in other Diablos, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be really popular now. And the fun fact, it's probably also not only the best level build, also the best endgame build. It will be insane if you have all of your things together. In this build, though, I will only recommend the aspects that you can actually farm in dungeons. So there's no luck needed to make this build work. You can just level, farm those dungeons, and you are good to go. Or to be more specific, you're good to slay really hard. So let's take a look at the skill tree first. And then I will add the items later so we understand the whole synergy of the build. Maybe first up, what are the weaknesses? So what do we need to solve with this build to make it work? So one big weakness is the resource generation. We need to get a ton of fury going, while, this is important, not using our generators too much, because we want to keep spinning. This is one key. The other thing is, if we are spinning, we are always close to enemies, which means we need to be pretty darn tanky. So we need high damage, max resource generation, and we need to be tanky so we can take this close playstyle. And to do this, we also need to be mobile. So we are having here the lunging strike, which gives us a fury generator to actually start getting our fury up so we can start into the whirlwind. This also has a nice side effect because we can heal if we want it. And we are having the option to go into berserking once we are having a critical strike. This is important because we will not only be spinning. With this build, we will be spinning with berserking on the whole time. This means we are getting 25% damage increase and 15% movement speed the whole time while we're playing this build. Like if you play it perfectly, you have uptime the whole time. So, and this is our core skill. I've already revealed it basically. We are playing Whirlwind Barb, which means we are having in our core skill the ability actually to gain fury back, which is pretty nice. And we have the option that we are making it to be additional damage by bleeding. This is going to be really important later on that this is actually bleeding damage. Then, if we're looking at character design, you also need to make sure that you have all the different damage buckets combined into one build. And vulnerable is currently one of the best multipliers for damage. So we have made sure that we're having vulnerable, which gives us a flat 20% increase on top, just like regularly, without going into extra vulnerable damage on items and stuff. It's just like, if you're vulnerable, you already have the 20% and you can increase this with your gear even more. Then shouts are going to be playing in a key role in this build, which means we are grabbing all three shouts. So we are grabbing the rallying cry for the movement speed and resource generation. This is also the reason why we are speccing into tactical rallying cry to get even more resource generation. And this also acts as our oh shit button in case we are getting CC'd and need to get out of a CC. With the enhanced rallying cry, we are having the unstoppable and the ability to do this. With the challenging shout, we are getting extremely tanky, 40% damage reduction. This is huge. And, of course, we're getting more life. Oh, great, right? We want to be tanky. And another thing, we are having resource that we can gain. So this is basically everything we could ask for in a build combined. Like we don't have to do any downsides. We can just spec in it and we get every value out of it. And of course, we want to be tanky, right? So those passives here for additional life is really good. And damage reduction against elites, also perfectly fine. And then our third one, this is the war cry, which basically means we're getting more damage. This is decent, right? But what we actually want to get out of the war cry is another source of gaining berserking. So here we have the ability to gain 4 seconds of berserking. And we are gaining some fortify to be more tanky. So for the people that don't know, fortify by default has a 10% damage reduction on the health it is protecting. So this gives us more tankiness as well. Then we're having some passives here. So we're saying we are relying really hard on shouts, which means we have 3 shouts on our bar. So booming voice is insane value, increasing those effects by a lot. And maybe now is also a good time to switch over to our legendary aspects, because there is a ring you can farm and get in a normal drop that gives you, if you drop it in a dungeon, 2 fury per second while shout skills are active. And we are having 3 shout skills, so we can do this all the time. We are increasing the duration to pop this up. Though we are only having one issue here to fix, and this is the cooldown, and this is 25 seconds. It works with this, but it's so much more comfortable to play if you're actually getting one legendary aspect that you cannot farm. So I highly recommend using all your obols and whatever you have to gamble for resource on Barbarian first and not any offensive aspect. Trust me, gamble for resource first. If you just type in shout here, you will see the bold chieftain's aspect. Whenever you cast a shout skill, its cooldown is reduced by 2.7 to 5.4 seconds per nearby enemy, up to a maximum of 12 seconds. Which means, if played correctly, all of our shouts have half the cooldown than they actually have. This combination with this ring is unstoppable, so use all of your resources to gamble for this aspect first during your leveling up process. Trust me, it's going to be nuts. Now, we've already had 2 sources on how we can get berserking going. We need a third one to actually keep it up on a consistent time. And this is the reason why we are going into Leap. Leap is a brawling skill, which means if you're speccing this way, we also get a bunch of fury, right? That's not too bad, but the reason why we're actually going for it is we need a brawling skill that does damage, so we can use this passive right here. When a brawling skill damaged at least one enemy, we are gaining berserking for 3 seconds. And here we're having another tanky stats, damage reduction by berserking. Now we have the option to be berserking at a really high consistency. And now also a little trick comes in. I've said at the beginning that it's really important that you need to remember that we have made Whirlwind bleeding. Because if we're doing hamstring, that means your bleeding effects now slow enemies. So right here we're seeing Whirlwind is bleeding. We are now having a Whirlwind that slows enemies. It's not important for how much it slows, it's just important that it slows. Because here, the No Mercy aspect will give us 9% critical strike chance against slowed enemies. Which means we are having permanently 9% critical strike chance against all the, against everything that we're attacking with Whirlwind. This is a great combination of passives right here. The Pit Fighter is just something for more defense. But this is also a good timing to go back onto our recommendations. Because we've just said how important crit is on the Whirlwind Barb, and there happens to be an insane aspect right here, which means Whirlwind's critical strike chance is increased by 5 seconds for each second that is channeled up to 20%. This is if you're only getting it out of the out of the dungeon, right? If you're dropping it with 40%, you're putting it on a dual weapon, you get up to 80% critical strike chance. So this is insane and works perfectly with another aspect you can easily farm. And this means the Relentless one, damaging an enemy with a score skill has up to 22 to 40% chance to extend the duration of berserking by 1 second. Double this duration if it was a critical strike. So you can get 2 seconds if it's a critical strike. you will be able to get 100% crit rate on your Whirlwind, which means you can go with the normal lucky hit chance here. So it doesn't have to be a lucky hit and a crit at the same time. You can basically guarantee this with this build. So it's extremely strong, this combination. Now let's finish off with the rest of the build right here. This is the Temper Fury that we just need to unlock. This one right here, the Invarigating one, which means we are healing off 9% of our maximum life for each 100 Fury spent. We are seeing here, we are paying 25 Fury per second into the Whirlwind. So every 4 seconds we are healing on 9% of our maximum life. And we are having the scaling effect, because here we are going into maximum life. Here we have the option to boost maximum life. So our rotation is really nice, because if we have this up while we are proccing it, we are getting even more heal. So like you can already see how all the synergies are coming together. And then we are going to use a two-handed weapon, and we have already said we are at 100% crit rate if we get some decent drops. And so critical strike damage is a key stat that we're looking for, that we can just spec into this. And now let's talk about the key passive before I wanted to give one more recommendation. We are going with the unconstrained one. This means our Berserk maximum duration is increased by 5 seconds. So for the people that maybe don't know yet, at the moment, the maximum time you can Berserk is 5 seconds. But if you use this, you can Berserk for an optimum of 10 seconds. And the reason why you need this is this effect here is a lucky hit. The chance is not bad to proc it, but sometimes you get a bit unlucky and you need a bit more of your time frame. So you want to keep those 10 seconds up, and if you get unlucky, the berserking duration will go down, then you get your lucky hit again, and then it will go up again. If you're staying in this only 5-second time frame, then it will be sometimes happening that you drop out of your berserking. We don't want this to happen. And now maybe one recommendation. If you've managed to get your build up going to be able to keep up berserking without the need of a leap, then you could also spec into Call of the Ancients, which makes you having a lot easier time at the bosses. You could also go, even if you would not be able to have berserking up, keeping up berserking at bosses is a bit tricky and requires a lot of dodging. So playing with leap at the bosses is more difficult than just popping Call of the Ancients. So if you're unsure or you start to have trouble at bosses, then it's not due to the build not working. I would just recommend switching out leap into the Call of the Ancients and you're good to go. As promised, here is the cheat sheet, so you know exactly in which order to skill and don't lose any time during the launch. We will not go over it in detail as we have just discussed the build in total. Either pause the video to use it or just follow the link in the description, where you will also find the d4builds.gg link. If you are interested in the full guide collection of all of my Diablo 4 content, I highly recommend using my Twitch Smart Hub that I created for you guys, where the goal is, no matter what question you have about Diablo 4, you will basically see the question here listed, and you can click on it and you will have a video guide for it. And then we are topping this off with level builds, endgame builds for all the classes. So it's basically one place where you can get everything in video form and don't have to read through like tons of Wikipedias and all this stuff. This is the service I am providing for you, and I will pump out one video a day. So this Smart Hub is going to be growing daily. So this guide will all be around this cheat sheet that I created for you. It will also be available in the video description, so you can keep it open while you're leveling and just have some general guidelines that will help you to progress faster in the game. So first we need to determine what is our actual goal that we want to achieve. And the main goal you should try to achieve to progress fast is getting to world tier, because the benefits of world tier are enormous. You are then able to drop sacred items, you are able to drop unique items, and you can now drop nightmare sigils that will unseal the nightmare dungeons. Nightmare dungeons are then used to drop and upgrade the cleaves for your Paragon board, which is really important, and you have access to hell tides, which allow you to specifically farm a gear slot. So basically, if you're looking for a helmet you can go into the Hell Tide, farm the Hell Tide, and use the charts to open a helmet chest. So the item you're getting out of it will be guaranteed a helmet, and this is perfect to farm for those little pieces that might be missing to fully complete your build after you've reached level 50. And now we need to discuss how do we actually get there, and how do we get there the fastest way. And as you may have seen, I have also divided this into hardcore and softcore, because I believe that the level strategy from hardcore and softcore are pretty different here. But let's not get too much ahead, and let's take a look at this, what I'm saying right here. Do not play tier 2. Why do I say this? Am I scared of the difficulty or whatever? No, it has nothing to do with difficulty or like playstyle. It's just if you want to progress the fastest, you will get more experience in gold per hour in tier 1 than you do in tier 2. Tier 2 has 20% increase in experience and 15% in gold. And this increase is so small that the kill speed you are able to reach in tier 1 outweighs the bonuses from tier 2 by a lot. And like, for example, if you're looking at gold, kill speed means you're getting more drops. You can sell more drops to the vendor. So it's not only about the experience. You will also gain more gold actually if you're playing in T1. Then we need to take care of some general level rules that we should make sure that we are taking a good look at. And this is, for example, upgrade your healing potions every 10 levels at the Alchemist. This is extremely important. They will heal you by so much more. And so we have the material to actually do this all the time. Means we have to collect all the herbs that we see. It's really important. Herbs, you collect all of them. Otherwise, we want to be efficient. So if we're seeing an ore that is not in our direct pathway, we will not go there and collect it. We will just continue walking. You will get more than enough materials, so you don't have to worry about the ores. Then we need to figure out what we are doing with our drops. So a general rule is we want to salvage in the early game and sell for gold later. And the reason why we want to do this is that if we're salvaging early, let's say a rare item, so this is just thing, it would give us 5 materials. If we are level 70 and we're dropping a rare item, it will still give 5 materials. But the higher the item power of a level is, which will be increasing the farther you go, the more gold you can sell it for at the vendor. So the more we are able to salvage early and sell later, the more materials we have once we go into the end game to start our crafting processes. Then, also important, maybe some people have skipped on it, EXP potions are available at the Alchemist. So if you want to, you should have them running all the time. And a lot of people were using like resistance potions, and they were checking in the materials, in the stats, what element, for example, they were missing in the resistance. And I highly recommend going for Ace Speed early. It's the best one. You don't need the resistances yet. You really need like high resistances once you're going into the Capstone Dungeon or World Tier 3. So don't miss out on this damage right there. Then something other that's huge is uncover unknown areas from right to left. So that means always go in the right circle if you have the options. This will help you memorize the areas a lot faster. If you're doing it steady, you will be more efficient. And another thing that's really important, if you're playing in a group and everyone knows that you're going from right to left all the time, it is so much easier to stay grouped and you don't have people wandering off. So important rule. Then another one that increases your kill speed a lot is that you never stop to kill small groups of trash. Always gather into elite packs to have the highest effective DPS uptime. I see many people and streamers, like when they have like 6 or 7 mobs on their ass, they already start like killing them, spending time to cast their skills, which they could easily do as well while there's an elite pack there without taking any additional risk. Sometimes it's even better to have more trash at an elite pack so you can heal off them and do all this kind of stuff. Then something important, which I also saw a lot of people doing, they are switching gears whenever they drop something. and then they are not even able to do this while walking. So they drop one gear, they open their inventory, they stand still, they try to figure out if it's better or not, and then decide and then continue the game. This breaks your game flow massively and will drop your progress a ton. So if you're not able to do it while walking, just do it after you complete a dungeon when there is a 30-second timer until the new dungeon opens and stuff like this. Try to use this to your advantage and not waste time. Then something else that's important is you need to unlock your class specialities as soon as the quest pops up. It's different levels for all classes. So for example, on the sorcerer, it's level 15. As soon as you hit level 15, you want to do this quest and get this power up as fast as possible. Then something else that's really important is that you are pathing in an area. Means you want to try to collect all the altars that are available already while you're pathing through this area. There is going to be location guides available, so use them, please. You will save a lot of time by not having to backtrack to these areas. You will get instant stats from the altars right away. And third option, why you should always be doing is you will also get renown from collecting this, and renown gives you great goodies like additional potion charges, additional skill points. Like they are really great. And then something probably a lot of people have been sleeping on, that healing wells. Even if you pick them up while you are at full health, they can also trigger cursed events, similar to shrines or chests. So whenever you see a healing well, even if you're full HP, click on it. It could be an event and you would be missing out on those obols if you don't do it this way. Now let's take a look at the different level strategies. We're having hardcore and softcore, and hardcore is a little different. The reason why we are making a difference here is the monster scaling of your level. So if you are level 15, the monsters are level 15. If you are level 20, the monsters are level 20, and so on. You cannot easily go into like a easier area, go back there, demolish them, and farm your power level up so you can continue. This means in hardcore, it is not wise to go full level speed, level as fast as possible. It's better to have a strategy that allows you to get the least amount of experience while being able to get the highest amount of legendaries per drop rate. And to do so, I highly recommend that you rush through the campaign until you get your mount, because the mount is going to be really important speed-wise to be efficient. But after you get your mount, you have no rush anymore. So that's also why I personally would probably not even use the EXP bonus potions, because this will just make you get more experience while you actually want to get more legendaries to not fall down in this power level sink. And also important, do not do any side quests while you're in hardcore, because they will bring you more experience, but they will rarely give you good rewards that increase your power level. So what you should be doing is you either find a dungeon that you like that has a high density of elites, and you keep repeating this dungeon. This is all after we have rushed through the campaign and got them out. Or you're doing event farming. So you're basically walking from event to event, farming obols, and getting your legendaries ready. And this is, of course, not something you want to do all the way until level 50. But you want to do this until your build feels steady. And as soon as the build feels steady and you're feeling comfortable, this is when you will then start to level like you would be in softcore and switch over to this strategy here. And in softcore, your main goal is also rushing the campaign for getting the mount on the way. But while you do this, you will accept all side quests. You can accept a total of 20 side quests. So accept them all. It often happens that the side quests are on the way where you have to go anyways, and this will result in you having to backtrack a lot less. And then you will also go all the dungeons that you pass by. You will also just clear them, because the dungeon clear on the first time will also give you renown, which you then, like we already said, unlocks new great stuff. Once the campaign is completed and you're level 50, you will instantly switch to World Tier 2 and complete the capstone dungeon. So, and this is also the reason why we can stay on World Tier 1. There is no reason to go World Tier 2, but we need to complete the capstone dungeon in World Tier 2. So if you're playing hardcore, make sure that your gear is suitable, because the capstone dungeon is more of a how to say it, of a gear check than a skill check. And also important to note is that the monsters in the capstone dungeon do not level with your level. So the monsters in the World Tier 2 capstone dungeon are level 50. So if you're feeling uncomfortable as a hardcore player, you can level up higher to get more strength going before you go into the capstone dungeon, or maybe farm more to get a build ready that you feel comfortable with doing. If you're softcore, I would just try to plaster it right away to get it done, because the faster you are in World Tier 3, the better it is. And once you have managed to complete this dungeon, you will be World Tier 3. And you will immediately start looking for Hell Tides to finish missing legendary affixes that you need to complete your build. And once you have a build completed, it doesn't have to be perfect rolls or whatever. I highly recommend starting to farm helmets there, because the Harlequin Crest, an insane unique item, is what you can get from this specific farming method, and it gives +4 ranks to all skills. It has health, damage reduction, like it's the perfect item and fits almost all classes and all builds. So I would personally try to go for this. And while the Hell Tides are on cooldown, so they will be vice versa, 1 hour up, 1 hour down, something like this, you're going for Nightmare Dungeons to farm your cliffs and level them up for your Paragon board to advance even further. And yeah, this is basically it. This is my strategy that I'm going to use on release. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as the cheat sheet for the Diablo 4 Server Slam. If you have any more questions, just leave a comment down below the video. I will always answer everything in less than 24 hours. Or you can just drop by our Discord server where you will get helped immediately. And another great way to get in touch with us is by joining in our Twitch, where we are now having a unique streaming concept. So I will be playing hardcore only, and you are the one that can actually benefit from it. Because whenever I die, it will trigger a community event, and you can then win great prizes out of the cash shop. So you can win skins, you can win mounts, and even battle passes. So don't forget to subscribe to not miss out. Cheers!